Alright, so it's time to restore my Wheelhorse 416H. It's basically going to be a full restoration. Only thing that's not going to be exactly original is instead of saying Toro and 416H, the decals I have just say Wheelhorse, because I didn't want it to say Toro on the side anymore. So that's really the only thing that's going to make it not original is basically that. Otherwise, other than that, it's basically going to be exactly how it is. So I was going to do a time lapse of me taking it apart, but I really don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take some pictures on each part I remove, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to get some stuff pulled off this and come back, and I'm going to give you an update on that. Alright, so I got the rest of it completely torn apart as far as I'm going to go. I really wanted to take the rest of it that you see here apart, but I was kind of afraid that, because all that stuff has like hydraulic linkage, hydraulic hoses, linkage for the hydro, that it's one of them things where it's like I'm kind of worried that if I was to take it apart, it would be difficult to figure out how to put it back together. It's not really worth it. But it's enough apart where I can clean everything and make it all look pretty decent, I think. So from here, all the stuff here needs to be washed. I kind of organized it in some piles. The stuff over there that's basically ready to get down to bare metal for paint. Hardware pile, a bunch of bolts and stuff to sort out. The chassis. And then, of course, miscellaneous small stuff that I need to scrape all the grease off and then pressure wash it all. But what I think I'm going to do now is clean up all this stuff here and start wire wheeling all this stuff, getting it ready for paint, and come back and I'll give you an update. Alright, so I got a bunch of the parts, cleaned up, organized on pallets. The frame is just outside. That came nice and clean. Took a lot of work to get it clean, but it's pretty clean. So it's been about a week since last time I had the camera on, but in that week I got a bunch of stuff painted and it's basically ready to be put together. So full automotive paint on everything. The frame is all black along with the two little side panel covers for it. And then of course the hood is red with the floorboards and fenders. And instead of being the bright red that the Wheelhorse normally are, it's this really cool like metallic looking red. I really like it. It's like kind of like a burgundy. I wanted something a little bit different than all of the other ones, so I decided to do something a little bit, custom. And then, of course, I got the decals put on already because I could not wait to get those stuck on there. So instead of ordering, ones specific for this tractor, I didn't want it to say Toro. I didn't want it to really say anything, just Wheelhorse. So I got these here, which is actually for 520, and they fit. I was actually pretty surprised they fit as good as they did because they're not for this machine, but I mean, for all I know, maybe the hoods are the same size. I don't know. This is the only style I've had. But anyway, I'm going to get the tires put on so I have a rolling chassis, and then probably see about putting the rest of the tractor together after that. So I'm going to get those tires put on. I haven't painted the rims yet. I just want them, on there for a rolling chassis, and we'll go from there. So I got all 4 tires put on, as well as the front tie rod and front axle. So it's basically a rolling chassis now. And before I went any further, I figured, I probably should get my 3-point hitch figured out so I can mount my 3-point hitch Sears Suburban attachments on the back of this. I'm not going to do a 3-point, or I'm not going to do a sleeve hitch. I'm going to do a 3-point that'll fit the Sears attachments that I have, as well as Category 0 attachments. So on how these work, at least for the sleeve hitches, and I'm kind of doing it the same way, is this little piece here that goes straight down, which is, I just realized there's some red left on the frame. I need to paint anyway. There's this little piece here I just got this little cable attached to that comes straight down from here. So this hydraulic cylinder moves this here, which moves this little bar across the frame, and that's what the cable is hooked to. And then right down here by my hand, the cable goes through a little hole in the frame, which goes kind of between the pump and the differential, and then out this little tube right here. And then this can go to my sleeve hitch, or 3-point hitch rather. So what I have kind of coming up right now is, this is not as big as I would like it to be. It's only 3/4 compared to, I think, a 1-inch hole. But this is going to go through here. It fits a little loose, so I could put some bushings in there to make it, you know, the size that it should be, and then it won't wear it out. And then put this little bracket I found in here. It just happens to be bent. It doesn't have to be bent, but I would have rather had it be straight. And then put that in there like that. And then these little cotter pins are going to go in there and hold it all together. So basically on how this is going to work is this cable is going to attach to the bottom hole of this little bracket, and then my 3-point hitch arm is going to go something like this and connect to this little piece down here where the normal trailer hitch would have went. So it's going to go something like that. Metal bar has to be cut down, of course, first. And then there'll be like a triangle piece in the middle, and then this will hook to here, to the upper hole. So this doesn't really have a whole lot of stress on it, but it just needs something to kind of hold it in place as like a middle thing. Because otherwise this cable could grind against here. It needs something nice and smooth to go against. Anyway, I'm going to get the rest of this bracket stuff figured out, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to share you an update on it. So I made a little bit of progress on the 3-point hitch lift mechanism. I'm going to show you here a little bit on how it works. So I pulled the pin out for this hydraulic cylinder, which it is on the lowest position that it goes, meaning the cylinder is out all the way. And if I pull this towards the front of the tractor, it's going to go until this little part here, which is for the mower deck, hits the frame. So right now, this is about as back as far as this is going to go. There's no slack in that cable. So if I push this little bracket here forward, that moves all the way forward until about there. So the hole in the middle of this bracket was about here. So that's like 2-3 inches, probably more like 3 inches of movement. And then, of course, this little mower deck lift bracket is hitting. So I think that should be plenty to have a pretty good ratio for moving the hitch arms up and down. It's got to have some spacers to make this centered and then actually stick out a little bit wider than this little piece of cast iron on the transmission. But that is going to be it for this video. So next video is going to be finishing up that 3-point hitch and then putting the engine in, and then all the hood stuff, the fenders and all that. I got to figure out how to paint the gauges yet without taking them apart, because I didn't really want to deal with unhooking all of this, because this whole wiring harness works. And I am going to change out the steering wheel, because this is the original steering wheel from this tractor, and this tractor is like a 91 or a 92. And the steering wheel looks like it's probably from the 90s. I want this tractor to look older, so I'm going to put an older steering wheel on it, just to not make it feel like it's from the 90s. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. You'll see more in the next one.